Good afternoon and welcome to the Richmond Olympic Oval. I am Colin Emerson alongside Zach Medell. And Zach, we're going to be mining for gold in this one and perhaps a little insight into what these players are thinking and feeling at this moment.
Yeah, so this one for all the marbles, obviously, whoever wins this game will be going home with some pretty cool looking custom medals that we saw over there, as well as getting their name put on the Canada Cup itself. That only happens once every 2 years. So a little bit on the line there, but even more importantly, this is the kind of last major preparation opportunity leading up to World Championships.
And interesting fact, at this tournament, 6 of the world's top 8 teams are here, and coming in, 1 and 2 were Japan and Australia respectively, and a neat little wrinkle is the fact that Japan's only loss was to these very Australians, providing a little extra drama perhaps for this one.
Yeah, so before this tournament coming in, I think a lot of us might have expected to see these two teams in the finals. Both teams playing very well throughout the tournament. Japan only losing one match, like you mentioned, in overtime to Australia. And notably in that game, they were missing one of their strongest players in Daisuke Ikazaki, who we do see in his chair, suited up, ready to go today. So hopefully both teams at full strength and making for some even higher level wheelchair rugby here today.
And you were mentioning these great individual players. I mean, you have Ike, Ikazaki, and Hashimoto for Japan. Bond and Bat, who have seemingly been around forever for Australia. But what I've really noticed is in the last few years, both these teams have built up quite a bit of depth on their bench as well, haven't they?
Yeah, so up until recent times, maybe we would only see kind of those 4 starters for Australia playing in the key minutes. But a couple of new and exciting faces for the Aussie squad, able to eat up some of those minutes in the high-pressure situations, giving their starters a bit of a breather. And for the Japanese squad, I mean, you could put any 12 of these players on the court and expect them to be able to keep up with the best teams out here.
And as you see behind us, look at the support that the Japanese has here. They're almost filled to the brim right in front of us as we get a look at the Australian team in their last huddle.
This might be the biggest crowd we've seen this weekend. Even for some of the Canada games, I don't know if we had this many bums in seats. So great to see such a good crowd turning up here. A couple minutes to go. Hopefully we see a few more trickle in. I know the Canadian boys said they were running back to the hotel quickly after our last game, but would be here in attendance to watch this gold medal matchup.
Yes, it should be very, very entertaining. It was not one that I did, but you could hear the roars from the other side of the court. It was court 2. We're on court 1 here, and both teams getting ready to go. Is there any other little insights you can give to our viewers here about what we might expect to see from either team?
I would expect to see a lot of strong passing from this Japanese lineup. Yoshinobu Ike, one of the premier passers in our sport these days. You'll see him sitting quite high up, giving him a great outlet and perspective to pass over top of some of these Australian defenders, whereas Japan a bit more of a Australia a bit more of a push first kind of offense, looking to attack with the ball in their lap. Riley and or Bond probably carrying that ball and then looking to crack block for one another to open one another up, and only passing really when necessary.
And I believe Bat and Bond are set to start in this one, but we'll see what happens if they make any last-minute changes here.
Yeah, no big surprises there. I think for most of the weekend we've seen Chris Bond, Riley Bat, Bo Vernon, and James McQuillan on a starting lineup. James McQuillan, who I've been calling Ben McQuillan all weekend. It's become a bit of a running joke, it sounds like, within the Aussie roster. I already apologized for that one in a previous game. They came over, thanked me for the apology, and no promises that it won't happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then on the other side here, yet to see who is coming out for the Japanese starting lineup. I would expect to see some sort of high-low, either a 3-3-1-1, 3-5-3-1.5, something of that nature, maybe a 3-3-1-5.5.
And we were mentioning the use of both benches, but it being the final is going to be tight. We'll see if they are still able to use that strategy or if they just ride their horses here.
Yeah, so we see Yoshinobu Ike coming out, number 21. We see Katsuya Hashimoto, number 32. We see Hitoshi Ogawa wearing number 23. And we have Kohei Suzuki. So a bit of a change-up. A lot of these games we've seen Yuki Hasagawa in that starting .5 role. But coach opting to give the newer Suzuki the starting .5 position.
Ike pops it right into the hands of Hashimoto for the first try of this game, just 5 seconds in.
Bo Vernon With the first inbound for Australia, finds Riley Bat down low. Chris Bond doing a good job fighting off that baseline. And there we see what we were talking about. Riley really not wanting to pass that ball until he is stopped and in trouble. Finds Chris Bond.
Bond wheeling his way forward now. Waiting for a lane, trying to go around the outside. He's thwarted there as Ogawa pushing him away, bouncing the ball now. Bond looking for another lane. Gets it to Bat here. You see those good heavy pushes.
Penalty try given to Australia. All 4 Japanese defenders ended up in the key there, which you're not allowed to do. Only 3 defenders can be in the key at any given time.
Hashimoto working his way out past center. Neat pick from Suzuki, giving him a lane around the outside. Now he's going to take it.
Good patience from Hashimoto, seeing Riley kind of lurking on that half-court line, trying to force it over and back. He waited for his pick to come and clear a path for him, and now does a great job beating the Australian key defense.
Speaking of picks, it was EK there with a good one for Hashimoto. And Bond's going to start the other way, slowing things down as he gets his center now, drives to the outside. He's got a bit of a lane there. Now he's going to take it to the middle, and a nice little shift there.
He does find a lane there in the middle. Nice attack from Chris Bond.
And tie game at 2.
Hitoshi Ogawa inbounding for Japan here, looking for the nice tall inbound option of Yokonobu Ike. Hashimoto, great burst of speed to get over half. A little one-on-one between him and Riley. It should be a fun matchup to watch today. I'm imagining we'll see a lot of those two guarding one another.
Ike helping things out, now dropping it back to Hashimoto, who's going to reinsert himself from the top of the offensive key. Wait for things to get set up. Now coming downhill.
Less than 10 seconds remaining here on the shot clock, but they do have time. Ogawa doing a good job sealing that corner.
Hashimoto, the straw that stirs the drink for this Japanese squad, as you're already seeing here. Bat in triple coverage in his own zone. Now Ike coming in to make his life miserable, but those good powerful strides, he's able to get away.
Trying to keep Ike on his back there. Good recognition, and it creates a 2-on-1 opportunity for Australia, converting on that one.
And you see the most powerful players in wheelchair rugby, once they get those strides going, they're not afraid to just take contact and muscle their way in.
No, it's really key to stop those players before they get their momentum going. Once they're going, it's so hard, unless you have a picker on the front of your chair, that you really wedge into that wheel. As you see there, Hashimoto with forwards momentum, able to bounce off both Chris Bond and Riley Bat.
Taking about 3 bumps before he was able to score there, as we see just over center. So it's going to be an Australian inbound with Vernon throwing it in. A little over 2 minutes in, and Japan with a 1-score lead, 4-3.
All Australian players in the middle of the court here. Not a lot of lateral space. However, Riley Bat does create space. Pretends to receive a ball to keep Hashimoto busy.
It was a nifty move by Bond around Suzuki there. As Ike working back, one palms it, as we said in the opening. Tall in his chair to Hashimoto.
Yeah, really great right arm for Ike there. Catch that ball with one hand, holding the chair with the other so that he doesn't get knocked around too much while receiving it. And then once he has that ball, he can turn, face himself up the court, and find Hashimoto with a pass just about anywhere on the rugby court here.
Hashimoto with the ball now offensively. Slowing things down, waiting for a lane, perhaps a pick. Sees one he likes and takes it all away.
Yeah, a little bit of space given up there by the 2 Australian 3-5s. And Hashimoto takes advantage of it.
Vernon to Bond to Bat now. Gets a neat pick from Vernon. He's got a ton of space here, and he's just going to take this one home. Tying the score back up, 5-5. Japan will inbound with possession of the ball here.
Ball in for Japan. Australia dropping back in the key here. A couple of good defensive possessions in the key from Australia, running most of that shot clock out. Seeing if they can do again here.
Ike providing a neat pick, and Hashimoto able to squeeze between 2 checks. So back and forth we go, Zach. No turnovers yet. And
nothing yet. And I would expect to see not a lot of turnovers in this game today. Both teams execute at a very high level. The Japanese key offense seems to be running quite efficiently at the other end.
And you mentioned wanting to stop players getting going. Bat just had a few strides in his own end, and that's all he needed.
Doesn't need much space to get those wheels moving. And you'll typically see that with both of these quad amps, Hashimoto and Riley Bat, as well as Chris Bond, really not having a lot of the leg weight slowing them down. And so just that power to weight ratio, they really can gain their speed quickly.
Hashimoto just scored, giving Japan the one-score lead for now, 7-6. Inbound to Bat. Looking for a way out of his defensive end. Nice
Riley
pick there.
With 2 pickers helping him get open, and another 1-on-0 opportunity. Easily converting on this one.
So is it Japan just that aggressive pressure, but once Australia breaks it, they have no reinforcements to catch up to him? Or
I think the speed, yes, of Bat and Bond is a bit tough to contain once they get going. So Japan looks like they're really trying to sell out and pressure on that inbound, trying to force a turnover early. However, that means if you don't get a piece of that ball early in the possession, they might have the easy overtop, and we've seen that a few times now with Riley Bat, a couple uncontested goals.
Hashimoto with a couple nifty shifts there to score. About 3 zigs and 3 zags before putting it in.
Riley forced to inbound here, so all the Australian players trapped down low. Ike looking to stay on top. Riley's going to have to pass here. Bond does get open over half.
And Bond has it now as he's met with resistance by Ike. Now a second Japanese player coming in on him, but gets it to Bat. They've got a little bit of room to set up. Bat will assess things and slow things down.
See Bond being active here, just trying to get a piece of somebody's chair and create some space for Riley. Again, they don't want to pass if they don't have to, and he does not have to here.
Great play there. Individual effort by Riley Bat.
Now, Riley looked like, I'm not sure if he was holding his lip because he got smacked or if he was trying to shush the crowd because they were getting a little too rowdy for him.
Of course, as we mentioned, yes, quite a large Japanese contingent in the crowd today. Urging them on is Ike.
Bit of a home court advantage feel almost for Team Japan here in Richmond. We see a lot of Japanese flags up in the stands waving around.
And now it's Hashimoto almost went back over center.
Yeah, bobbled it a little bit there. Managed to get there in time, keeping things exciting. 15 seconds to score on the shot clock.
As he directs traffic coming into the offensive end, getting the countdown from his bench.
That is
lead
an
over the
easy
top.
one. Great passing shown by Hashimoto. Great patience on that key offensive play, and obviously not much to be done denying that pass getting into the tall post of Yokonobu Ike.
Yeah, Ike is showing why those long arms are so important. As Bond the other way gets contacted by Hashimoto. Now spins off him.
It's like another little race here. Hashimoto doing a great job staying on top of Chris Bond, making it tough. And Riley drawing a lot of pressure in the middle of the key. Chris Bond taking advantage of it.
Back and forth we go, tied at 9. Ike out of his own end. Spinning, looking to get going as he bounces the ball. Suzuki looking to help him out at center here. Double team, gets a short pass in there to Hashimoto.
Yeah, he had to get it over there. They were getting close to that 12-second count. And Ike, very smart player, recognized it. Waited for Hashimoto to get open and found him.
Got him off a double team. Now he's got a lot of space working in.
Big hit here happening. Riley trying to get him into the cone. However, that will be a try.
A very hard hit there, as just desperately not trying to let Hashimoto score. So he kind of sees what's happening, takes a route, and hits him on the side of the chair. This game does have a lot of contact, and these people coming out now, I call them the pit crews, as they're so efficient in replacing wheels, taping people, and getting them back up off the floor in a timely manner.
Yeah, definitely an accurate name for them. It is very similar to a NASCAR pit crew that you see come out, swap those wheels out quite efficiently, and have the players back up and running as soon as possible.
Into the game for Australia's Pruka. You'll see her number 7 for Australia.
We also see Daisuke Ikazaki and Seiya Norimatsu entering the game here, as well as Yuki Hasegawa.
So some subs by Both teams, we mentioned that they have quite efficient benches, and we'll see that here.
And now, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's Ikazaki working his way the other way. Great move. He's got Ike with him, fakes him off, and takes it himself.
Yeah, different personnel in here for Japan, but similar game plan. You'll still see Ike getting that ball in low. Quickly pops it up to Daisuke Ikazaki, filling a similar role that Katsuya Hashimoto was playing.
And
those very dynamic players.
Those two for Japan used to be the two high pointers with a high-low lineup for Japan. So
yeah, for many years, really until Hashimoto came onto the scene. And they also had Shinichi Shimakawa, longtime 3.0 player for Team Japan. So they had a lot of high pointers they could rotate through. And that was really the terrifying thing about this Japanese team, is they had 4 or 5 high pointers who could all compete with the best of the best. And they would rotate through them, keep them fresh. And so nobody ever had to play 32 minutes in a game.
That is the one thing finding them all the time is Ikazaki working back now. Gets his center line.
Tight double team with Riley Bat and Lil Prusha on him. Bit of trouble on that sideline.
Able to force himself.
Finds Ike. And Ike shoved into the score table here. A lot of pressure from the Australian squad, and I believe that is our first turnover that we've seen of the game. Great Australian pressure at half, and a Japanese timeout called here.
I believe it was Hasegawa, or excuse me, it was Norimatsu trying to go back, tipped out of his hands, and Bond and Bat worked to turn that one over. And as you mentioned, first turnover of this one, 12-11 for the Australians. As a result, as we've been playing shot for shot up until that point.
And I think we're going to see Hashimoto coming back into the game here. He had a couple minutes to catch his breath, but coach deciding to go back to the young 3-5, who has shown a lot of consistency here in this first quarter.
And also a neat little wrinkle we should mention to our viewers is the fact that when you call a timeout with inside a minute, you're automatically granted a past half court possession. So all teams have been trying to use this, with tight plays, trying to get that last second scoring going. So you may see this as the half wears on here.
And still a little bit of a newer rule, so teams maybe still ironing out their strategy on how they like to use those timeouts. But we will see Japan advancing that ball to the front court. They have an option to do so. They don't have to bring it to the front court, but at that point you're making it easier for yourself. You don't have to worry about that 12 seconds to get over half. You get that ball in, take some time off the clock like we see Hashimoto doing here.
Yes, they're just trying to get that last possession. Last goal at the last second is Hashimoto with 10 seconds left. Neat little move around the outside.
Hasegawa tried to steal that corner unsuccessfully, and then Ogawa on the other side trying to steal Riley Bat. 2 seconds to go. Ooh. And a great pass last second. Good heads-up play from Ike.
Ike with those long palming arms into the lap of Hashimoto. And with the last second, Japan able to tie it back up. So
exciting end to the quarter. 0 seconds remaining. That will conclude our first quarter. Tie game, 12-12.
Yes, and only the one turnover. You can see why these two teams are 1 and 2 ranked in the world respectively. And you'll also notice, as we mentioned, that the World's coming up in Brazil in 2 months' time. So this may be the last time all these guys assemble for a big game before that.
Definitely.
And hopefully we'll see much more of this entertaining affair at the Richmond Olympic Oval. A lot of Japanese fans in attendance, not as many Australians. Haven't heard any Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi chants yet.
No, not yet, and not a lot of yellow and green. Perfect. Not a lot of yellow and green here in the stands cheering for them. A lot of pink shirts saying, can I read that from here? Dream as one from the Japanese fans.
Trying to fulfill that dream here. As Zach mentioned, heading into the second quarter of play, tied at 12. Only one turnover that whole quarter, and it was by Japan. And then quickly after that, they got their big boys back out there. So hopefully more of this entertainment in store. It was quite physical as well, Zach. Some really big hits by the line. No teams giving an inch.
No, very physical teams, both of these Australian and Japanese squads.
As we get
obviously a lot of speed, a lot of function. And those players that have full core, you see really using it well. That does create a huge advantage in wheelchair rugby, having core function, because when you're getting hit, you can stabilize for it. And if you don't have that, you can see some players are strapped in so that they don't flop around too much in their chair, but it's much easier to brace for a hit if you have function of your trunk muscles in wheelchair rugby.
And some of the players you almost see pop out of their chairs with those high functions and are able to weasel their way back in with the body. And also at the same time, if they're being attacked at the goal line, can kind of thrust over and convert tries. So
exactly, especially with those late hits in the back of the wheel, you can really use your core to make sure that you don't topple over and to maintain your course. Whereas if you don't have that, you'll see some other players, if they're not expecting it or can't brace for it, more likely to get knocked over by some of those dangerous hits, which is why we do call the penalty, to make sure that we're keeping players safe and avoiding any unnecessary risk.
Australia is set to inbound. We've got 20 seconds before we get going, but as you see also in wheelchair rugby, a lot of things happen off the court even before time expires, just jockeying for position and things.
Exactly. So there is some strategy to that. You're not allowed to fully hit another player. Each team does get one warning for a contact between the whistle. So those low point players have to be especially careful not to get their picker into another chair too early, or often we see a referee call that contact before the whistle. However, there is a little bit of bumping at times that you can get away with.
Bond coming back to receive that inbound from Pruga. Now finds a little middle seam. Turning his body, getting it to Bat, who absorbs some contact and sends his man to the floor before scoring.
Riley shaking his head on that one. Hashimoto tried to get a piece of him, looked to be just a little bit off balance. And Riley able to glance off him easily.
And what's the best way if you're going to take contact in the sport? Like what positioning would you want to use?
Not like that. We see Hashimoto, I think, was just turning and a little bit off balance when he made contact. You're a little more stable if you're coming straight in for a hit. Obviously, head to head, you're not as likely to go over. He kind of caught that on the side of his chair as well. Those front wings are what we call the sweet spot. And if you're trying to knock somebody over and you aim for one of those, it'll increase the odds of somebody going down in wheelchair rugby.
Ogawa off the inbound, gets it to Hashimoto. He's going to circle back and reassert himself defensively. Finds a little bit of speed, working away from Bat, who's got his peripheries on him, trying to hit him, as well as Pruka, but they're not able to do it.
Really needs to use their speed. We see Ike on the bench here and Daisuke Ikazaki entering the game, so not quite as much height, and they'll have to make some adjustments if they want this offense to continue running smoothly.
Bat working away from Ikazaki.
Speed-wise, though, it appears this is matching up a little bit different, a little bit better. Ike having a bit of a tough time guarding the Australian high pointers one-on-one.
Bat to Bond off a nice pick from Pruka in the defensive end, allowing Australia to score. They're up by one now, 14-13. So that only turnover is still coming into play here. Ogawa.
And I think this game we might see the first goals and last goals being even more important, because Australia forcing that one turnover and then scoring the first try of the game, or of the second quarter, has put them up 14-13.
Ikazaki, Hashimoto. All the Australians are drawn into their key. Hashimoto assessing things. Pruka out there to meet him. Neat play there.
Little battle going on at half court here in front of us. 2.5s. Yuki Hasegawa jockeying for position with Mick Ozane, trying to keep him out of the play and give his team a 3-on-3 opportunity to score with a bit more space.
Hashimoto
And
running out of time, but it got it to Ikazaki.
good use of that space there created by Yuki Hasegawa.
Australian inbound. It's Bond. Ikazaki in his back pocket. Hasegawa making his life difficult, but gets it over to Bat, who turned back. Now he's double teamed, needs some
Caught
support.
the backcourt and turned away from the play.
Just makes it over center here. Now lobs a nice one in to Bond. So that's where chemistry comes into play. You got to think as well, Zach, with those two.
Definitely, but great pressure from that Japanese squad in the backcourt. You saw them smiling after that play, realizing how close they were to forcing a turnover, and hoping that next time it works out in their favor.
Nifty catch by Hashimoto out of his own end, extricating himself from some traffic here.
Lots of space to get the ball over half here. Hashimoto gets his dribble in. Now has 8 seconds to make a move before dribbling or passing again. Another fresh dribble, attacking the key. You always want to make sure you get that in before attacking the key on offense so you don't get caught with your nose in the key, have defense all over you, realize you're at 6 or 7 seconds, and force a dribble in traffic.
Nifty little outside-inside
Long
move.
pass, Chris Bond.
Fielding that one from
Force
the
to push as
floor.
hard as he can. And, oh my god, everybody going down. Hashimoto cartwheeling into our official here. It appears everyone is okay, but
He was trying to hit Bond near the try line. Bond felt it coming, slowed up, which sent Hashimoto's momentum over the top.
yeah, and Hashimoto maybe reaching for the ball, so didn't have his hands on his wheels to quite brace for that or slow down.
Perhaps saying hello to the Japanese fans right in front of him as well, as you see there.
Putting on a show on that baseline for sure. This is the first time this weekend we've seen them have to pull extra bleachers out to go on that far baseline, so that just means plenty of tickets sold today here at the Richmond Olympic Oval.
Some subs on both sides, I believe, is set to come in as we have a timeout here. I believe Japan called that one, and they have one left. Of course, you can take your timeouts after each half. So Australia still has 3 in their back pocket. We'll see if they use it. As we mentioned, there's a new rule within the last minute of the game, so we'll see how that works moving forward here as well.
Yeah. Australia likely going to have still a timeout remaining towards the end of this half. And they can use that, like you mentioned, to advance the ball. Often, if there's only a few seconds remaining on the game clock in a quarter, coaches will call that so they can draw up a play, try and get somebody in the key, and go for the long bomb to a player posted up in the key.
Set to get going here. Substitutions, as we mentioned. Ike, Hashimoto's still on though, and Hashimoto's got some speed. Bond realizing he's not going to be able to catch him, so he just forgoes that, trying to get things done on the defensive end here.
Chris Bond mentioning to me earlier today in the hotel lobby that he did turn 40 this year, matched up against the younger Hashimoto. So maybe trying to conserve some of that energy, knowing that the young buck is going to be able to push
I know what that
at
feels
that
like.
level all day.
As into the game is the high pointer for Australia. That's Holloway, Andrew Holloway, and he makes his presence known early here.
Yeah, some fresh arms coming off the bench for Australia, giving Riley Batt a bit of a breather. And Holloway shows some great speed out on the court. We've seen him with plenty of open breakaways throughout the weekend because of that.
Neat little shift to the outside by Hashimoto, giving himself an open lane to the try line and tying the game back up at 17 apiece. Second quarter, 5:23 to go. Terrific affair in the gold medal game between wheelchair rugby's first 2 ranked teams as Holloway gets it over the top, finds Bond. Japan set for the inbound. Hashimoto receives it off the tip of his glove into his lap.
Wakayama with a nice lob into Katsuya Hashimoto, giving himself time to get down the court. That 40-second shot clock doesn't start until somebody has touched it.
Wakayama now, great pick there. Tied we are once again.
And here we see Waka, as they call him, and Yokonobu Ike keeping Chris Bond on the baseline. Andrew Holloway trying to streak up the right side of the court. Big hit coming up here.
He's got those terrific, powerful strides, does Holloway.
Gets over safely. Yeah, when he gets his wheels moving, he is one of the quickest players around.
Ike, one palm on the ball, gets it to Hashimoto, working his way to the double team, and does so with a nice pick there. 2-on-1 down low.
Chris Bond forcing Katsuya to make some decisions there. You see him faking a little bit, trying to create some indecision, but great decision made by Hashimoto.
Throwing his arms, flailing about, trying to throw him off course. It wasn't to be. Bond from his own end scoops it to Holloway. Getting those long strides, as we mentioned, going.
Just a little bit too much space given up there from Hashimoto. And
trying to stay with him and then ends up sending him down.
try called by Cam Broadhead. Appears maybe not a penalty goal even. Bit of contact there right on the baseline. Hashimoto trying to stay with Andrew Holloway. Unable to do so.
Got a half a wheel on him, and that's all he needed. Great job by Hashimoto to try to keep up, but wasn't able to do so. Sent Holloway down to the court. None the worse for wear, and back up and in his chair.
Good to see Andrew Holloway smile on his face as he gets back up,
Has a few words.
telling the Japanese defender that he is heading to the bench and you don't have to guard him anymore. We have now Riley Batt, Josh Nicholson, Andrew Edmondson, and Liliana Prusha on the court for Australia. And some Japanese substitutions coming over to the table right now.
Right now it is Hashimoto faking. Nice pick again from Wakayama.
And that fake turned out nicely. They just cleared a path for him right down the middle. Parted the Red Sea, if you will. And found his way across the try line.
Able to bob and weave through picks. And Japan's got it back. Oh, and then they can't catch it.
Maybe rush that one a little bit. It looked like the play was there. The pass was almost on target. However, maybe some excitement from that Japanese turnover just forced. And subs coming in for Japan here.
I was going to say, Zach, that's one thing I noticed and we discussed earlier is that sometimes once a turnover happens, another one quickly follows.
Very often. So, yeah, Japan did not need to rush there. Maybe they thought they could take advantage of Australia being out of position after that turnover, but they had plenty of time. They had a full 40 seconds on the shot clock, and unfortunately for them, gave the ball right back to Australia. Still tie game.
Bat off the inbound. He's got a lane. He's going to streak. Nicholson and Edmondson there to help him with a pick.
No try called. It looks like there was contact with Shunya, maybe when he was up in the air. Technical foul called, and Josh Nicholson will be sent to the penalty box.
So we're still tied at 20, 3:41 to go. Second quarter, first half of this one. As now, we see Bat got some good wheels. And what happened here?
I thought that maybe this would be a turnover and Josh would not go to the box, but it looks like Australia will still be inbounding. Short-handed. Riley and Edmo going to have to work together here to get this ball in, with 4 Japanese defenders guarding the 2 of them.
Pruka.
Lil not liking it, shaking her head, seeing Riley.
Bad and tight coverage on the
her
sideline indeed. Great pass over the top.
The fingertips of Andrew Edmondson able to secure that pass. Josh Nicholson watching with relief from the penalty box.
Couple nice plays in short space by Australia, giving them the lead, but it's Japan back with it. Ikazaki, great pick or pass into the zone to Kabatani, who's going to wait and score. So Kabatani with his first appearance in this one as well for Japan.
Now Waka keeping Joshi there in the penalty box. Creating a bit of a mismatch.
Edmondson trying to work his way out defensively for Australia.
Josh able to fight out of there. Coming to clear traffic for Riley Batt. And Riley scores that try without too much difficulty.
Picks it up in slow motion and just takes 2 pushes to get going before scoring.
Ike had 3 defenders on him, 2 now. Lil timing that attack down towards the inbounder.
Couple neat plays by Japan in their own zone to open up Kabatani, and his end's got to get over center. Lobs a short one into Ikazaki. Great pass there.
Very nice composure from Kabatani over top of Riley. The fans going wild here in the Richmond Olympic Oval. They did like what they saw there.
Edmondson. Bat. Double coverage. Working himself loose or trying to. Ike not letting him get over center originally. Now he does, but he loses the ball.
Dribbling the ball off his wheel there, maybe. This could be an over and back called. No, it must have gone off a Japanese chair in the front court. So Australia got lucky there. Could have been a turnover.
Edmondson now bouncing. Bat around the outside. And Ike was trying to back into him to prevent him from scoring.
Riley telling the team to calm down, even though he was the one that dribbled the ball off of a wheelchair, not his teammates. Maybe talking to himself on that one a little bit, shaking his head here as he covers Shunya deep.
Yes, Australia able to almost kind of get themselves out of jail free there with that little bit of a turnover. That was almost.
And speaking of calming down, Shunya crosses that line.
Japan with a neat pass, and That was Nakamashi scoring there, and he was a player that, wasn't one of the, top ones, but every time he's been in, he's been noticeable for Japan.
Yeah, Nakamashi, quite a solid 2-point player. Very good passing range on the inbounds.
And it looked like Pruka might have taken a whack or something, but she seems all right.
Yeah, tightened up a little bit there, receiving some contact, but does a good job getting back into the play and opening up Riley Bat.
Flies it loose for Bat to get free, looks around and scores. And what do we have here, Zach? Was there?
I didn't quite see what happened. Riley having a discussion with Cam Broadhead, but it seemed like he scored there without too much issue. So, oh no, miscommunication. Ike tried to go back to the inbounder. Shunya Nakamachi wasn't quite expecting it. It bounced off his shoulder, and another turnover for Japan.
It was Nicholson who pried it loose, and Bat with the ball now trying to take advantage. 1:30 to go. Looking to get a 2-point lead here, and he does with the middle lane, does Riley Bat.
Australia stretching this lead to 2 points after that Japanese turnover.
Big play there, and Japan, as you mentioned, the only one to turn it over, and have done so twice.
And I wonder if maybe the noise from this crowd came into effect on that last one. I couldn't hear if there was communication or not between the inbounder and Ike. And another turnover forced here from Australia. This balanced lineup wreaking havoc.
And right on cue, Japan ready to send some subs in, trying to thwart the Australian momentum here near the end of the second quarter of play. As Kabatani, we see him just over center there, getting it swatted away, and does end up being a turnover.
Here we see a 3-5-3, 1.5 for both teams, and a turnover for Japan, getting it back.
So as we mentioned, that does happen quite a bit, and it's Hashimoto able to close the gap to 1.
Happens quite a bit, especially when you try and pass over the towering Yokonobu Ike.
Yeah.
One of the tougher defenders to get a ball around in this sport.
Only needs the one arm to field it in or pass it. And
yeah, you'll see a lot of that. Most of what he does is with one arm. He is wearing that splint on the left side to protect his hand a little bit, and he uses that mostly just to control his chair, where in that right hand does works most of the magic when it comes to the rugby ball.
Blackwood into the game now, has it in his lap, almost turned it over moments ago.
Not a lot of time on the shot clock here. 10 seconds remain. However, Bo Vernon steals that corner.
Neat play there. 32 seconds to go on the game clock. Second quarter. Australia up by 2, 26-24.
Hitoshi Ogawa given the ball before he was even off the court by Cam Broadhead.
Ogawa now, one palms it himself. Short one into Ike, who, as we mentioned, fields it down with one arm. Bouncing now. Ozan trying to make his life difficult. Neat pass down
a
court.
little bit behind Hashimoto. Had to turn back for it. But they would have done so anyways, trying to use up as much clock as they can here with only 12 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
Hashimoto trying to wait for the perfect time. This way and that. Now around Ogawa giving him a nice pick. Finds Ike.
Well, 1 second left here. Australia calling timeout to advance that ball to the front court.
And as we mentioned, when you inbound the ball, unless it lands on the court or in possession of someone, the clock's not going to take down, so you just hope for that long bomb field goal sort of pass. We'll see if they can do it.
Japan subbing in a little bit more height with Daisuke Ikazaki entering the game.
Yeah, you'll also see, like you mentioned, specialty defensive lineups if you're trying to stop it, or offensive weapons if you're looking to score. So tactically, quite a different scenario as well, as both teams and their coaches and players are going over what's going to happen here.
And by doing this, we also see the one-pointer Haidefumi Wakayama entering the game instead of a 0.5 player. So maybe a little bit stronger player to cover those corners in the Japanese key.
What an entertaining affair.
Yeah, quite the crowd turning up here at the Richmond Olympic Oval. As the game's gone on, we've seen a lot of the players from the other teams trickling in. I'm sure they were grabbing some lunch after their hard-fought battles today, running back to shower, change, come back here smelling and looking fresh.
Bat.
1 second on the clock. Riley Bat, nowhere to go with it. Just has to get the ball to Chris Bond.
So Australia going to go to the second half and third quarter of this one with a 1-point lead. 3 turnovers total, 1 extra by Japan, which is why we sit where we do here. And hopefully for this, as you mentioned, massive crowd at the Richmond Olympic Oval, things move forward in the same way with this entertaining affair. And what are you expecting to see in the second half of this one, Zach? Anything different or much as what we've seen thus far?
It looked like both teams, when they brought their balance lines out here, did have a bit more difficulty offensively. That's when we saw a few more turnovers happening. And when the high-lows were out there, maybe not quite as many turnovers, with mostly the 3s and 3-5s handling that ball. However, this Australian balance line of Riley Bat, Andrew Edmondson, Josh Nicholson, and Liliana Prusha did force a couple of quick turnovers, which has put them in the position they are now, up 1 at half. And if I'm not mistaken, it will be Japan ball coming in.
And while we're at it, Zach, we might as well shout out some of our sponsors that make this great event possible. Of course, it's not just what you see in front of you. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, whether it be volunteers, as we mentioned, sponsors, fans, production as we're getting here. So first off to BC Wheelchair Sports for putting on this event. We've got the Government of British Columbia as well as the Government of Canada, Richmond Sport Hosting, Vesco, which is responsible for a lot of these powerful big wheelchairs that you see in front of you. And that's just a few of our sponsors. So thank you very much to them for helping make this event possible.
Yeah, BC Wheelchair Sports, obviously they've been here working very hard for the last 4 days. Plenty of staff and volunteers on site. However, it's more than a 4-day ordeal. They plan all year leading up to this to make sure that it is a smooth process for everyone. And they've been here all week getting set up, getting the food ready, setting up the stands, making sure that we all get good visibility. These big Wheelchair Rugby Canada Cup stickers on the court, letting everyone know what's going on. So shout out to them.
And
all the hard work that does go into an event like this.
Obviously, every time there's a Canada Cup, there's usually another event that follows it every second year. But in your typical year, how many international events are we doing?
Yeah, so on the even years like this, we'll have either a World Championship or a Paralympic Games, usually. And so Canada Cup is often used leading up to those events. For teams to bring in some newer players to get classified, looked at by the classification panels, to get some high-level reps. And then on those off years, the odd years, usually we'll have a qualifying tournament for those teams to secure a spot at World Championships and the Paralympic Games.
Yeah, so those are kind of the big. Well, these are the big threes technically.
So one major international competition every year, and then the qualifying events for North and South America will be at the Pan American Games. Next one's coming up next year in Lima, Peru, to try and qualify for the LA 2028 Paralympic Games.
So Canada Cup is really one of a kind in terms of a country organizing its own sort of event. That doesn't really...
Yeah, one of the larger international tournaments for sure on the circuit or in our sport. And there will be usually corresponding with able-bodied Rugby World Cup. We've seen the World Wheelchair Rugby Challenge also happening in the same city on the same year as the World Cup takes place.
It'd be interesting to see the able-bodied rugby try a little bit of wheelchair rugby. I don't know, just fun to see.
I think their thighs might be a little thicker than most wheelchair rugby players. I don't know if we would have chairs that fit them.
Yeah.
But if they did, I'm sure they'd have a fun time and probably knock each other around.
Definitely seems like a whole ton of fun. They were even trying to get me out this week. But as I mentioned to you in our last game, I think I might be a little better off camera than on the court.
Yeah, we'll keep working on you for that. You got to try it at least once. You
Yeah.
don't know what you're missing out until you try it.
It's true. So maybe I'll give that a go. But we're going to get back to business here in about 5 or so minutes as both teams trying to stay loose off court. The stands filling up a little bit more.
bit of an advantage too for you if you do come out and try it out as a rookie who's been following the sport here for a handful of years fairly closely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I'm just anxious to say like what I'd be classed as. I'm thinking about a 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to work on my defensive game a little bit, taking those lanes away and creating picks.
Tough to tell. Yeah, not seeing you in a rugby chair pushing around or handling a ball. What that would what class you would be, but. Hey, if you ever want to try it out, you know where to find us.
Yeah, no, now I do. I think I'm going to have to get in and try it out. Like you say, you got to give it a go. As we get a look at Hashimoto here, he's got a little bit of a sling around his shoulder.
I wonder if, maybe just some ice on the shoulder to cool down, maybe some heat to loosen things up.
Something to monitor going forward here.
Looks like there is an ice pack in there. So I wonder if maybe just trying to lower that core temperature. A lot of players will actually wear ice vests, either warming up before the game so their core temperature doesn't overheat, or at halftime. And I've also you're not starting the game or starting the shift already overheated and sweaty.
I've also seen those little pocket fans, players getting loose and whatnot. So definitely some different tactics used in the sport to keep everyone fresh. And the second half of this one will be starting soon. 1 point lead for Australia, as we mentioned, 26-25. And each time that you mentioned the balance line, I thought especially the balance line of Japan struggled a bit more, but as soon as they kind of noticed off that double turnover exchange, they kind of got their big boys right back out there.
Mm-hmm. And it seemed like the chemistry just wasn't quite there for that balance line today. We saw that inbound from Shunya to Ike, and then Ike tried to get it back to him quickly, but he was not looking for it. And again, part of that might be just the noise levels here in the Richmond Olympic Oval. It has been quite loud, especially with all these adoring Japanese fans here in the house. But yeah, just that little bit of lapse of focus or connection there led to that turnover.
Yeah, if you're Australian and you're in the area, get out here quick. They need your help on the sidelines.
A little bit one-sided here for sure.
Yes. I just thought maybe a few extra Australians were in the beer garden, but they haven't popped out yet.
No, I don't even see any down there. Maybe one or two, but
yeah, that's about it.
They're vastly outnumbered by this Japanese fan base.
And I know you've probably seen bigger crowds here at the Oval, but I think this is the biggest one that I've seen, to be honest.
For a Canada Cup, one of the better ones. Obviously, I think if Canada had made it into the later rounds, those later afternoon games, 11 a.m. on a Sunday might be a bit early for some of the fans to show up. Great Britain defeating Canada in that 5-6 placement game. And then France beating Brazil, winning the bronze medal here at the 2026 Canada Cup.
And of course, a bit of a transition year for the Canadian team, losing some veterans such as yourself. So injecting some new blood and trying to find that chemistry to get near the top of the world rankings.
Yeah, I'm not going to take all of the credit or all of the blame for that one, if you will. We have 6 players from the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris that have retired. So a lot of roster spots to fill for some of those new up-and-coming Canadians. So great opportunity for them. Quite exciting to see a lot of new faces here representing Canada. And I think give them a few years and they will be competing with the best of the best again on the world stage.
Exactly. In any sport, any team, you go through a transition phase where your old guard's moving out and new guard moves in. But it's important to keep the lifeblood in the sport. And how do you go about keeping that chemistry between your teammates going and keeping that proper culture, as you say?
I think we see a lot of people still staying involved in the sport. Obviously, people like Trevor Hirschfield retiring after being captain of the Canadian team for many years, now taking the helm as head coach. So taking that knowledge, giving it back to the community. And we see a lot of Canadian coaches here worldwide. Benoit Lebrec, now coaching Team Brazil, was the coach of the 2008 Canadian Paralympic team in Beijing. We see David Wilsey coaching the France team here. London, Ontario native. Dorchester, Ontario, sorry.
So Canadians still spreading love all around the sport?
Exactly. So a lot of Canadians out there that know a lot about wheelchair rugby. And fortunately, we invented the sport, so we had a head start on it, and We were ahead of the rest of the competition for many years. Canada.
I just can't believe there was no shot clock until 2008. That still blows my mind.
And Canada was on the podium of every Paralympics up until 2012. But we did get a bit of a head start, like we talked about, inventing the sport back in the 1970s. But now we've seen so many teams around the world really upping their game. And it's cool to see the development and the progress of our sport all across the world.
About ready to get underway in the second half and third quarter of this one. It's going to be a Japanese inbound. It's going to be Ogawa to Ikazaki, or Ike, excuse me. Ike holding onto the ball, palming it. Good speed, shifting his body to get open. Scoring the first point of the third quarter, tying the game back up. McQuillan looking for an inbound. Oof.
So we see there a great example of why you want to be scoring those last goals and first goals of every quarter. Japan, even though we've seen a few turnovers uncharacteristic of them, they were able to tie this one up by scoring that last try of the second quarter and receiving the ball to start the third.
Holloway responding for Australia. Japan on inbound now with Ogawa.
Now Australia dropping back in the key. They have had success with that and forced a turnover or two from this Japanese key offense.
Hashimoto getting things going, now attacking the offensive side. Nice little pick by Ogawa there, getting him the back side of the court. McQuillan to Bond, looking over top. Holloway trying to get loose and giving him an out, and there it is.
Holloway tried to follow McQuillan up that sideline. Couple hesitation move does open up some space for him to seal it, and it doesn't look like Ike is going to get there in time. Nice push from Andrew Holloway.
Yeah, a couple neat spins to gain open space before that, and his powerful strides took over.
It's funny how that's all it takes sometimes. You can go nowhere on the court, just burn a quick 360, and all of a sudden, after a quick spin, the defenders start to move and gives you the space to get out of there.
Hashimoto one-on-one against Bond, and he's going to score. And some nifty plays there, some head fakes.
Maybe a bit of a rivalry that's formed here between Hashimoto and these Australian 3.5 amputees. I know back when I played, I always took it a little extra, not personally, but something about going head-to-head with another 3.5. We seem to get a little more fired up against one another.
Almost a turnover for Japan, but it went out off them, so it's going to stay in Australian possession, but very close there.
And some Japanese substitutions coming in. We see the 3-3-1-1 coming in with Daisuke Ikazaki and Wakayama entering the game again. And another piece of that inbound. Japan really upping the defensive pressure here in the third quarter.
They've definitely been all over Australia, sealing them down in 2-on-1 off the inbound as it's volleyed out.
Oh, potential. Oh, no, he does get it there. Great bump pass from McQuillan.
McQuillan with a neat little volley pass into the waiting lap of Holloway.
Had a tough time getting that short flip pass over to Chris Bond with some height on him. And Holloway doing a good job of creating some space over top. And McQuillan, great bump pass.
Ike striding and slowing down as he's got a 2-on-1. And he gives it up to Ikazaki.
Cam Broadhead with a little chuckle in front of us. The Albertan referee seeing a little bit of contact on the court.
McQuillan, short pass to Bond. Again, Japan making their life difficult. Sealing him down, forcing him to spin off. He's got to take the wide route. He's going to have to get over center quick. Accelerating his speed, so he's going to be okay. And going to take it all the way. So beating the heat is Bond.
Old boy there showing that he does still have some gas left in the tank.
He has 40-year-olds can still move, baby.
I got to bug him about it. Bondi and I go way back. Stayed with him when I was over playing in Australia a few times.
Ikazaki.
Throwing his weight around, bouncing off both the low pointers, Chris Bond does. But they do a good job giving Daisuke space to score that.
Definitely do as we get a look at his work here. Some nice picks there. It was Ogawa at the very end, helping him to score there. Australian inbound.
Bond likely going to have a tough time getting out of this double team on the baseline, especially with the ball.
Holloway looking to give him an out.
To throw it, gets his dribble in, needs to throw it.
He's in trouble here a little bit.
And Mick Hossein may be there to save the day, and he does just that.
Wow, what a play with one arm.
Andrew Holloway couldn't get to that ball, but Mick Hossein was in the right spot at the right time. However, Japan still forcing a turnover. Opportunity for the Japanese team to take the lead.
What a great play by Ozan with that one arm, knowing where Holloway would be. Still, he was pushed out of bounds, so it's a turnover, but I really like that play there.
And a smart play, too, knowing that if he caught it, he might get in a bit of trouble. Oftentimes, teams will see a low pointer like Ozane catch a ball and try and swarm him, making it very tough to get that ball out. And so by just tapping it into the hands of his high pointer, could have avoided a bit of a sticky situation. And another turnover. This second half is an entirely different game than the first half. A lot of clean rugby took place in the first 16 minutes.
And right on cue, as we mentioned before, one bad turn deserves another. Australia off the most recent turnover. Neat pass to Blackwood in open space, and he's going to score there. 5:12 to go, third quarter. Australia has reasserted their 1-point lead, 31-30 here.
Unfortunate turn of events there for the Japanese team, looking for, I believe, their first lead of the game. Could have been a bit of a momentum shift, but Australia does a good job settling the seas there.
Ike and Ikazaki working it forward now. Picking up strides, accepting contact, but scoring ultimately.
Shea Graham in the game as well for Australia, finds Cooper Blackwood with that inbound.
In a lot of trouble here as he's double teamed down court looking for an out.
Great long toss, facing the wrong direction from Cooper Blackwood.
Graham able to accept that, but she's pressured heavily, trying to be shoved out of there.
And a little bit of contact between the arms there. Ike will be sent to the penalty box.
So good job of Graham able to accept that long distance pass, keeping things moving for Australia.
And really a tough pass from Cooper Blackwood there. He was facing their own baseline, turning his torso and able to rip that ball with some impressive speed to get it to Graham in time.
Leads to a penalty to Ike. Pruka set to inbound. Waiting for some directions from the referee before she gets it moving. That. Taking his time, he's going to make sure that things are attended on the defensive end and take a few seconds off the clock before scoring.
Japanese coach saw that Ike was going to get trapped in the box, so calls a bench timeout. By doing so, will not force Ike to inbound. They can bring it in, free up their players.
And Australia with the 1-point lead, which they've had much of the afternoon here. It's seesawed a little bit, but both teams, as you mentioned, guilty of some turnovers now. Usually one after the other.
Yeah, a couple back-to-back-to-back there, I want to say. We've seen more turnovers in the second half already than we probably saw in the entire first half.
And what type of strategy are both these teams going over now, Zach?
Can't quite hear what's taking place in the huddle. It looks like we're going to see the 3-3-1-1 staying out here, trusting that this line has overcome leads much greater than this over the years. These two three-pointers have played together for over a decade now, and some very experienced one-pointers in Ogawa and Wakayama as well.
So it's going to be Ogawa set to inbound for Japan.
Australia doing everything they can to make sure that Ike can't get down low and use his height to receive that inbound. But Daisuke is there to receive it.
Ikazaki sees a lane through the middle. Takes a double team before he goes down. What a pass to Ike there.
Might have to give him an and one for that one. Gets the pass off, finds Ike. Doesn't land on anybody's chair.
Takes the hit to make the play. I like that one. Pit crew out to get him back, seated and into this one.
And Daisuke looked like he knew that was coming. Knows that Riley really likes to dig into the back of a player's wheel right on that half-court line, trying to force a backcourt violation. And so recognizing that and offloading the ball before he was called with a turnover.
Contacted from two different directions is Blackwood. Soft palm into open space. Bat slows to catch it and now wheels it to score it. 4:05 to go, third quarter. One score game still, 33-32 for Australia.
This time we see Ike able to get down to his spot, close to that baseline where he likes to be on the inbound.
Ikazaki having to stride to fend off Blackwood, but able to do so. Graham will inbound for Australia. Bat has to go back as he was in double coverage, trying to find the middle, but can't do it as he's sealed off well.
Great work from this Japanese double team. Got to be careful on that reach there, but they forced the pass from Riley to Ogawa. Oh my goodness, Ogawa almost able to intercept that one. And Daisuke with a last-ditch effort trying to swipe that one from Blackwood, but gets called to the penalty.
You mentioned the good pressure by the Japanese. It goes off Ogawa into the hands of Blackwood, so a little unfortunate there.
Be interested if we see more of that Wakayama and Ike double team on Riley. They did a good job of splitting him away from his low pointers. Had nobody to follow up the court, and he could not get around forcing that pass.
Bad off the inbound. Just going to wait for things before scoring. Takes it in pretty quickly, actually.
Now we'll see Daisuke calling that inbound, which is why Ike didn't set up quite as low, knowing that Daisuke has a bit more passing range than these one-pointers on the Japanese lineup.
Japan off the inbound. Ooh, Ike. Ball got a little bit out in front of him, but able to fend off Bat, scoop it in, and find Ikazaki as those two show their chemistry they've built over the years.
Yeah, spacing the court. Both of those players have been in that situation many times over the years.
Pruka racing into inbound for Australia. Tie game now. Great Japanese
Bond
pressure.
Doubled in the corner, forcing that pass out. Back to Riley, who loops all the way underneath, looking for space.
He's going to attack that middle. Does so very efficiently, and I think we're going to get some Japanese substitutions here.
Correct. We got a subs please coming from our left here. Very polite, the Japanese trying to enter this game.
Ogawa. Ike. Double teamed effectively, using that long arm to scoop it into the hands of Ikazaki. Slowly.
Needs to make a move here.
And finds the middle. Now he's over center. Can stop to assess things as he shifts back and forth. He's got a middle lane now.
Shifts is a good word. He is a very shifty player. A lot of hesitation moves, a lot of back and forth. Just because he looks like he wants to go somewhere doesn't mean that's where he's going to end up.
Pruka. Bat. Ozan trying to help him get loose, but can't do it.
Here we see that double team keeping Riley there, but not quite for long enough. Able to get out this time.
But you're right, that Japanese defense off the Australian inbounds is something to watch going forward as Bat is able to score there. 2:35 to go. Third quarter. Tie game, 35 apiece.
I would have to say this Japanese 3-3-1-1 might be a bit of a stronger defensive lineup with two very capable three-point players able to guard Riley or Chris, but also with two one-point players out there. So a little bit stronger picker chairs to help their high pointers contain those 3.5 amputees.
And it's actually 36-35 for Australia. And that timeout, we've got about 30 seconds left. Both teams still have 2 to use before the end of the fourth quarter. And unless it's to stop momentum, as we mentioned earlier, it's maybe trying to save them for those last plays to try to generate some offense. We'll see how that plays going forward. A very entertaining affair here at the Richmond Olympic Oval for the gold medal match. They were 1-2 coming in, and they're playing for a 1-2 right now.
And the last time these two teams did meet up, it did go to overtime. There is potential for that to happen here today, and I think that would be another nice treat for the fans here at the Richmond Olympic Oval.
We should also
mention some
mention
extra minutes out of this tournament.
We should also mention that Japan looking for a three-peat here at the Canada Cup.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. The last Canada Cup in 2024 was a Canada-Japan overtime 1-point game, if I remember correctly. I was looking at the cup earlier, studying my history of the Canada Cups, and Brought back some memories for sure.
Got some fresh players in on both sides. Bond carrying, accepting some contact. Great individual effort there and persistence.
We see the Australian balance line returning to the floor. Last time they had a balance line out here, it did cause some problems for the Japanese offense.
Ogawa.
So
Ike.
a lot of pressure between those two-point players. And Hotoshi
just gets it. Wow.
Not Hitoshi, sorry. Katsuya Hashimoto. Great hustle there to track down that long bomb. Barely got there in time, but rewarded for his effort.
I didn't think he was going to get there, but what a great job of vision and job of speed to catch up to that one for Hashimoto.
Just enough backspin on that pass from down low.
Nicholson absorbing some contact, getting swatted at, protecting the ball.
Looking for Chris Bond. Hasn't dribbled for a little bit here.
Swatted out of his hands, but into the lap of Bond, and it is a turnover.
Forced with that pressure on Nicholson.
Hashimoto, and I believe air came out of someone's tire. We'll see here as Ike gets a great pass from Hashimoto. A lot going on there in a few seconds, Zach.
A lot going on. And equipment still to be called here. Looks like Andrew Edmondson needs a new wheel. And bit of a momentum shift here. We see Japan now up 38-37.
Nicholson was in trouble for a while there. Tried to hold on to the ball as long as he could. Swatted out of his hands. Pops out of Bond's lap. And ultimately into Hashimoto. So even on those turnovers, there's still a few plays before it's actually called a turnover or a possession. And you saw that there.
Chris Bond does a good job calling for the ball, getting open deep, but Edmondson did have space to get over.
Some nice moves there by Edmondson. Nicholson trying to give him a lane. Hashimoto out to meet him. Spinning back into the key and slowing things down. Ozan on the other side. Edmondson spinning back. Bond now. Just over 1 minute to go here.
Tough defense in the Japanese key here. 5 seconds remaining. Bond does find space to score.
You could tell Japan might be feeling something here as their bench is a little more engaged. And another
flat tire. Hashimoto running directly into the picker of Migozane. And that's what happens when you do that.
54 seconds to go, third quarter. Tie game here, 38 apiece. The drama certainly picking up in the last few moments.
Referees making sure that the players are giving 1 meter of space around Hashimoto so equipment managers can work on his chair. Hashimoto now draping a towel over the shoulder of one of the Japanese staff.
Ogawa set to inbound, barking out some instructions before he does it. Short to Ike. Ike looking over the top to Hashimoto. Neat little pick there.
Ogawa clearing a path for Hashimoto.
Going this way and that before scoring.
And 41 seconds here in the third quarter. 1 second difference between the shot and game clock, and a timeout is called by Australia, it appears.
Looking to tie the game up here. Trailing for the first time in the last few moments.
Japanese lineup returning to the bench. Looking quite happy with themselves. You see the morale starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Smiles on most of their faces.
You're definitely noticing the momentum shift here on court at the Richmond Olympic Oval.
And a little bit quieter on the other end here, on the Australian bench rather.
And what do you do in this situation? Let's say if you're the team where you're noticing that momentum is shifting, even if you're on the bench, Zach, how can you kind of pick your teammates up? And
I think coach is doing a good job of recognizing it well, seeing some body language that might not be ideal. Decides to bring in the experienced players in Riley Bett, Chris Bond, Bo Vernon, and James McQuillan. And so these vets have been here before, and sometimes all it is just reminding yourself to take a deep breath. There's still plenty of rugby to be played here in this gold medal match, and obviously we've seen a couple 2 or 3 point swings already, so there's nothing saying that it can't happen again.
Bat bounces the ball, getting himself loose, dropping it back to Bond and back to Bat.
And Japan already letting us know they would like to call a bench timeout should Australia score here.
Australia trying to take as much time as they can before the quarter is over.
Yeah, 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Riley in a good position to score. Needs to make sure he doesn't go into the key too early. He can only be in there for 8 seconds. No try called. It will be a penalty on Ryuji Kusaba.
Making his first appearance of the game as well.
And so now 4 seconds. They can use the entire game clock. And Japanese coach coming over to let us know he would no longer like to use that timeout. Holding on to it.
Oh, so you can cancel them, eh?
Sounded like he wanted to cancel it, but it is still called.
Okay, they got it. I just wondered if that's an actual, like, if you can cancel it. I wasn't aware that that's a thing.
That's something I was unsure of with that newer rule. I have not read the rule book since some of these things have been updated.
Yeah, quite a few changes, and as I've mentioned to you before, that's one thing I really admire about wheelchair rugby is the fact that they are not stuck in their ways. They're trying to make the game more entertaining for players and fans alike, and I can really respect that.
Yeah, you look at this sport from where it started in Winnipeg in the 1970s, even things like the equipment have come such a long way.
Yeah,
they essentially started playing in just hospital wheelchairs. You didn't see these high-performance machines that we now use. Looking over at the Japanese squad, we even see things like carbon fiber buckets coming into effect, really trying to make sure that these athletes are getting every bit of energy out of their chairs they can.
Sounds fun, but sounds like with those hospital chairs, very unsafe, so come a long way.
I would imagine a lot more people would have been upside down, tipping over backwards, maybe not even having seat belts, people falling out the front of their chair. We see those anti-tip casters now on the back of the rugby chairs, and no goal here.
That was reaching for that one. I wasn't sure.
A bit too
no
hot
goal.
to handle. It looks like he dribbled it down to himself, but it may have bounced out of bounds before he caught it.
So big play there as Australia is not able to tie the game back up before the quarter is over. Japan content to just get the reception and take their lead to the fourth quarter as Australia looking a little bit frustrated, especially Bat on that most recent play.
Yeah, a little bit tough. Bond didn't have much time to get the ball there, so he did have to fire it with some speed towards Riley, just not quite able to handle it at that speed.
So the drama definitely picking up here at the Richmond Olympic Oval. We've got a packed house, and the drama will certainly continue going into this fourth quarter, you have to think.
I hope so. And even better if this drama continues into overtime.
Yes, you were mentioning, did you ever see, you said 3 overtimes once?
Yeah, I know I've been a part of some triple overtimes. Talking to some other people this weekend, I believe Adam Frost said he recalls some quadruple overtimes back in the day when he was coaching the British Columbia provincial team.
I remember back in 2022, Canada went to overtime with Japan. I think you were a part of that team, right, in 2022?
That would have been, yes.
So, Zach, you've been a part of these moments. What are these players feeling going into this fourth quarter here? We're kind of down to the wire. One more quarter, presumably, maybe more, as you mentioned, but we're down to the nitty-gritty here, aren't we?
I would imagine Japan pretty happy with the situation they're in coming into this fourth quarter. A bit of momentum on their side. The first quarter, I believe that they have had the lead coming into it. So just knowing that if they play clean rugby here, it will be Australia ball to start. But if they go goal for goal and don't turn that ball over, they should be able to pull off the W. However, with 8 minutes to go and the way that this Australia defense has been pressuring them, it's not often you see a full quarter of rugby with no turnovers. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and that speaking of pressure, that Japanese pressure off the Australian inbound has done wonders for them, the double teaming off those inbounds. So we'll see how those things play going forward. 1 minute and just over before we get to the resumption of the fourth quarter here. Gold medal match, Richmond Olympic Oval 2026 Canada Cup.
The big question here, whose names get called by coach to close out this gold medal match? We have the 3-3.5. I'd imagine we have a 1-5 coming to join Daisuke and my apologies. Ryuji Kusaba is still in the penalty box from the end of the third quarter, so obviously he has to remain in the game. You cannot substitute a player who is in the penalty box. And on the other side, Liliana Prusha, Chris Bond, Nick Ozane, and Riley Batt will start the fourth quarter.
So different variations of that high-low lineup, as you mentioned, for Australia. And about ready to get underway here. There'll be some jockeying for position before the play is ultimately underway. As you'll see here, that's what both teams are doing, but you're, as you mentioned, not able to contact anyone, you'll get one warning. Haven't received one of those yet today. And the ref.
Mikko Zane throwing his hands in the air, hoping for a contact warning. Like you said, I think both teams should have their warning still in the second half. You do get one warning per half.
And it's Bond off the inbound. Looking to tie things up on their first possession. Good job of speed around the outside, able to do so. So we are knotted back up here, 39 apiece, just 6 seconds into the fourth quarter. Japan going to inbound here.
Tsuji Kusaba looking to get this ball in down low to Ike, does so. Finds Daisuke Ikazaki with plenty of picking options to follow up the court. And interesting, we had a fallen player. The ref lets play continue. And the penalty is called. Riley saying, hey, that guy's on the ground. You should call that first. But caught with his hand reaching on Daisuke.
Is that Kusaba on the court?
Yes, that is. Riley just caught him on the way by. We'll see the replay here. And it was on the back of the tire. Riley could have been called for a spin for that hit. However, still sent to the penalty box for the reach shortly afterwards.
Yeah, no,
Two penalties
exactly,
in a very short period of time from Riley Bat himself.
And what happens? Do they ever call 2 penalties on a single play? No,
Not for a situation like that. The first call was just missed. However, maybe a bit of a makeup call on that second one.
Japan back off the inbound here. Should have an easier time scoring, of course, with the penalty, as Hashimoto taking his time, making sure things are established on the defensive end for his team, and taking some precious seconds off the clock before taking it in.
Yeah, it looks like Japanese coaching staff here maybe putting Daisuke in for those first couple of minutes, just giving Hashimoto a few extra minutes at the break to catch his breath and cool down.
Ozan, good job to get in, allowing Bond to receive the ball and work his way out, back giving him a middle lane.
Oh, it looked like Bond might have crossed that line, but Cam shaking his head, stopped just in time, put it in reverse.
Bat back with it. Around the outside, met with resistance by Hashimoto, but he does score eventually. 7:01 to go, fourth quarter, 40 apiece, Japanese inbound. Ike palming it down, scooping it up, doesn't pass it, decides to wheel wide and bounce the ball.
He does have space to push and recognize that I think Hashimoto had both of the 3-5's attention for Australia. And so good recognition from the veteran Ike.
Now Hashimoto slowing things down on the offensive end for Japan. Australia content to collapse back. And Hashimoto over the top nicely to Ike.
They've done that a few times. That's exactly what they want to happen, running against that key defense.
Bond. Bat.
It's it back to Riley Bat. They do want Riley to be holding on to the ball in these pressure situations.
Ike, good job of staying stride for stride. Good pick by Bond. Able to take Ike out of the play momentarily as Bat wheeling back. Gets around Hashimoto.
And Bond getting very physical here, doing what he does best when Riley's coming up the court. Chris Bond looking to make contact with the Japanese players, slowing them down.
That was almost tipped away from Ike there, but again, those long arms showing why they're so valuable in this sport.
Yeah, just out of the reach of Riley Bat, who is not a short defender by any means, but great pass from Hashimoto right into the lap
Bond
of Ike deep.
Forcing him to slow up, fakes one pass, now waits. Perfect timing to Hashimoto.
Impressive show of passing from this Japanese lineup. Deep breath there from Hashimoto. You see him trying to slow things down for himself a little bit, not get too excited in these pressure situations.
It feels again like Japan may be building some momentum. Neat pass over from Bat to Bond.
Good composure from both sides here late in the game.
Back and forth they go, and tied once again we are, 42 apiece. 5:47 to go, fourth quarter. Gold medal game here, Richmond Olympic Oval.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a lot of substitutions happening for the rest of this game. Do you maybe foresee any changes happening here in the remaining 5 minutes, Colin?
Oh, I leave that up to you.
I'll leave it up to the coaches.
Hashimoto.
We don't have any say over here in the commentator booth.
Hashimoto with some good strides to get in there as he pulled in. gives Japan a lead again as back and forth, as I mentioned, we go.
We see them switching the balls out. That one got a couple of sweaty players, I'd imagine, out here at this point in the game. So making sure that they have a fresh, clean ball to play with.
Bat, a little bit of a slow roller, has to avoid double coverage, trying to extricate himself. He's going to be in a bit of trouble. They got to get over center.
Here, yeah. Trying to get that ball out of the corner.
What composure there. He gets it to Bond. And this is where those veteran players who have that chemistry come into effect here. I was getting a little worried, but apparently he wasn't, and for good reason.
He didn't appear too stressed at all. Oh, that one was knocked out of bounds. That was off gold. It will be Japan ball, but big defensive pressure there down low from the Australian defense.
Yes, as they were the double press. Bond and Pruka doing a good job there, and Bond rejected it away, but it's out off him, so...
Chris Bond doing a good job using that one finger for the little bit of extra length to deny that inbound. Got just enough on it.
Every little inch does matter in these situations. Japan off the inbound. And Hashimoto receives it. Neat little pick there from Ogawa, allowing him to
smile on his face. I think he was showing some appreciation for Ogawa with a great pick on the chair of Riley Bat, giving him all the space in the world to score that try. Japan still up 1 point here in the fourth quarter. 5 minutes remain.
Pruka. Edmondson back into the game for Australia. Leaves it for Bat.
Oh, Joshy coming down with some speed. A big hit to open up Riley Bat.
Saying this is my house. And now Edmondson doing the same, allowing Bat to score.
Looks like we have an equipment called. I wonder if Nicholson might have popped a tire there.
Certainly some very, very heavy contact, very authoritative by Nicholson there.
Yeah, EK signaling there with his hands, showing that he does need another wheel.
And
not just drawing a heart in the air for his fans.
He was also doing that though. Even like, how much are these equipment timeouts kind of useful in terms of getting your breath, maybe stemming some momentum in either direction, things like that?
Sorry, I did miss that. I was getting flagged down by some of our volunteers further down the table, bringing attention to how many fours are currently on the scoreboard. It is 44-44 in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes and 44 seconds remaining.
That's not ominous at all, is it?
I don't know what it means, but...
And now, oh, there we go. I thought they left the clock there for a second. Hashimoto now absorbing some contact, working his way out wide.
And Hashimoto, another smile, saying, look at all this open space I have. It's going to be easy to score this one.
Must feel nice for Japan playing on the road, but feeling like a home game for them with the crowd we have here at the Richmond Olympic Oval.
Definitely, yeah, a bit of a fifth man advantage with this Japanese crowd egging this team on, supporting them with only a few minutes remaining.
1 point lead. And my question was about the equipment timeouts. How much can you use those to stem, as we have another one, stem some momentum? Take a breath, certain things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if there's not an equipment issue, you cannot just call one for the sake of taking a break. But it looks like Ike feeling maybe some issues with his chair after that big hit from Nicholson. Maybe a bent axle or something. And once you get to know your chair, if something's a little bit off, you can feel it's pulling you one way or another. Maybe a wheel's rubbing. We see them lifting him, spinning that wheel to see if it's catching. Left side seems to be running fine. Getting the right wheel put on here. Hopefully, all chairs in working order. Be a shame to see somebody sent to the bench just because of an equipment problem.
Looks like he's happy.
Back in action here. Quick inbound to Andrew Edmondson.
Carrying the ball now is Edmondson, as you mentioned, to Bat.
Japan trying to get back in the key. They do so successfully, and trying to take some time off the clock here.
Bat spinning back, using that pick from Pruka, but decides to circle back. Didn't like what he saw. It comes around the wide side.
Interesting adjustment. Hashimoto, knowing Riley does like going towards that left corner, sets himself up on the left corner rather than one of their low pointers, who Riley can push around a little bit easier. But that did mean there's a bit more space in the middle for him to work.
Oh!
Edmondson getting a piece of that ball. Should be white ball. Andrew Edmondson knocked that one out of the outreached arm of Ike. Not easy to do.
As we see here, every inch being contested that much more with the stakes at play here. Gold medal for the Canada Cup. Japan looking to three-peat.
Both teams subbing late in the game. Ike still looking down at his chair on his way to the bench.
Something must not be right.
Likely going to try and get that repaired as quickly as possible. Tough loss for the Japanese squad here. Ike the reason that they're in this game at this point.
Ogawa, Hashimoto.
And nobody, again, between Hashimoto and the goal. Really scoring with ease. Getting to save his energy for the defensive end.
Holloway looked like he was striding to him, then backed off, realizing that it was a foregone conclusion. Bond. Holloway.
Now, this could get interesting. Andrew Holloway, not quite as much experience as Riley Batts. Out here during crunch time. And Daisuke taking advantage, maybe, of those nerves, that inexperience. In Japan, potentially going up by 2.
Causing a big, big turnover there with that good pressure.
Maybe a commentator curse on that one, too. Apologies to Andrew Holloway.
Ikizaki trying to get things going in the right direction, as you mentioned, to let Japan go up by 2, and they do.
He does, and a lot of excited Japanese fans here. Plenty of flags waving in the Richmond Olympic Oval.
Holloway now looking to atone for that error as he gets loose. Getting center, striding forward, going wide and stopping up now. Bouncing the ball.
Hashimoto trying to reach in, swipe that ball off the lap. You do want to be a little careful at this point in the game. Taking a penalty, giving them the opportunity to run that clock out without too much defensive pressure.
Bond making sure his ducks are in a row before attacking. Coming around the wide side.
Oh, and
not
that
yet.
is why we saw that adjustment. Hashimoto really doing a good job holding that left corner. Both Australian amputees do like to score on the corner. We see Bond trying again there, but Ogawa doing a great job stopping him, not giving up any space. Oh, but I believe a penalty goal was awarded. He thought he made the stop and the shot clock expired.
So we're still in a one-score game.
More drama here late in the fourth period of this gold medal match.
47-46 for Japan, and they're in possession of the ball. And it's going to be Hashimoto.
And hopefully, Yokonobu Ike entering the sub box again. Hopefully his chair back in working order.
Third time's a charm, hopefully, for him.
Good opportunity, though, for him to catch his breath.
Desperately wants back into this one.
And the bobble there on the pass to Holloway. Gets it back to Bond. They get it over a half with 27 remaining on the shot clock. Referee had that whistle locked and loaded.
Just barely. That would have been a devastating turnover for Australia, but they managed to clean it up and convert there.
At that point, if they force another turnover, I don't know that they would have wanted to make subs. This lineup having no issues on the offense or defensive end of the court.
Ikizaki, nice inbound there in open court.
And it will be James McQuillan calling inbound. I thought we had another whistle.
Maybe Riley Batt back in as well.
Riley Batt is in the sub box and on the other end there. See the top of his shiny head. I have to give him one. Every time he sees me, he likes to comment on how bald I am, even though we have the same haircut. And he's been rocking it longer than I have, I think.
Holloway absorbing some contact before scoring. Taking the spread back to 1 point, 49-48, 1:46 to go. Each possession becoming that much more important as Hashimoto working from his own end. Look at that speed.
All of the Australian defenders down the court. Still showing he has plenty of energy. Breathing heavy, but really fighting to the very last minute here in this
McQuillan
gold medal match.
to Bond. Back over to Holloway.
And now Hashimoto staying on top of Holloway. Daisuke on top of Bond. Japanese defenders doing a very good job containing the Australian defense here, taking the valuable time off the clock. But a corner seal. Oh, Andrew Holloway maybe stuck in the key here, getting pushed towards that line, and he's pushed out of bounds. Another Australian turnover forced by the Japanese defense.
And this one may really hurt as there's not much time left. Only about 2 possessions if you take a look at the full shot clock, but we'll see what unfolds here. Both teams have one timeout remaining.
And Daisuke coming back to the bench, big smile on his face, high fives all around. Ike back on the court with that veteran. Oh, experienced composure. Ogawa with a fake there. Barely hung on to it.
Japan working out of their own end. Some neat passes there. Ultimately ending up in Hashimoto's lap.
Australia needing to force something here. I'd imagine we see some hands trying to get that ball off the lap of Hashimoto, but he gets around in time.
Protecting and just accepting the contact on the side there. Great job of anticipation there by Hashimoto.
And great awareness, recognizing that clock was ticking down around that 55 mark, scoring at 51, setting up the last goal of the game. However, Australia not a lot of time here to close this gap. 3-point lead for Japan, 40 seconds remaining.
Bat with a neat little crossover, getting wide,
And
closing the gap to 2.
I'd imagine we'll see a lot of pressure on this inbound from Australia. 36 seconds left. Japan just needs to get the ball in and get over half. They don't even need to score here to close out this game.
Ike getting loose, though.
Maybe a bit of reaching coming up here as well, trying to force a turnover, poke that ball off the lap of Ike, doing a good job protecting it. Sees Riley coming, turns away.
And Japan with it now. Hashimoto.
Using Ogawa to protect himself, keeping those grabby hands of the Australian defense away from him. And
Swatted
there's
up
a
by
reach.
3
There's another
Australian.
reach. Gets it out safely to Ike. 6 seconds now remaining. Not even looking to score, just trying to kill the clock.
And this one is over.
We have ourselves an incredible gold medal match. Japan winning by 2 over Australia.
Definitely came alive as this game wore on. We're building some momentum, which they were able to take to the finish line, earning their 3rd Canada Cup, 3-peat for Team Japan here at the Canada Cup.
And a lot of smiling faces here on the face of the Japanese team, and a lot of cheering fans as well at the Richmond Olympic Oval. Stay tuned here, folks. We will have the closing ceremonies coming right up, where we will award the medals as well as the Best in Class awards.
So they were the 1 and 2 teams coming in, and they are the 1 and 2 teams going out.
Yeah, I think nobody here is shocked to see these two teams in the gold medal match. It was anyone's game, though, coming into it after that first pool play matchup, going to overtime with Australia winning by 1. However, Japan able to pull it off late in the game.
Still a terrific 4-day tournament here at the Richmond Olympic Oval. As you mentioned, getting prepared for the Worlds in a couple short months here. And we'll see if these two teams will, I'm sure, reunite acquaintances very soon. It's not the last they've seen of each other, I'm sure.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. These teams see each other very often at most of their qualifying events. Both teams will be seeing each other at World Championships. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see one or both of these teams again in the final at World Championships coming up in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm Zach Modell, joined here by Colin. Appreciate your time this weekend.
Yes,
great work on the
it's
mics.
been terrific. Yeah, thank you very much, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So thanks to everyone behind the mics, in front and on the games, everyone who makes this terrific event possible. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you all at home for tuning in.
Thank you all the teams. Once you are ready, we get you over court 2. Ready over back. Necessary to begin.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome to the award ceremonies for the 2026 Canada Cup. Bonjour à tous et bienvenue aux cérémonies de remise des prix du tournoi Coupe Canada 2026. Mon nom est Franck Point and I will be your MC today. As you might have noticed already, I've got this Parisian accents. Please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Paris, France. France is other great rugby nation. To begin our ceremonies, please welcome our dignitaries and the winning teams. Pour commencer nos cérémonies, veuillez souhaiter la bienvenue à nos dignitaires et aux équipes gagnantes du tournoi. L'équipe qui a gagné la médaille de bronze, la France. Si vous voulez bien nous rejoindre, s'il vous plaît. Les joueurs de l'équipe de France, donc Théo Baraton, Sébastien Verdun, Jonathan Hiverna, Brice Morel, Lou Catala, Nicolas Valentim, Mélanie Sambré, Cédric Nanquin, Luca Goumez, Jordan Ducret, Corentin Le Guin et Oriane Devalière. Bravo à vous encore. Congratulations, friends. Bravo. Let's welcome now the silver medal for Australia. Please, if you come and join. So, Australia team. We have Chris Bounds, Andrew Holloway, Riley Batt, Cooper Blackwoods, Robin Limbird, Shaw Graham, Andrew Edmondson, Jack Nicholson, Liliana Pusha, Beau Vernon, James Macquillan, and Michael Ozane. Congratulations again, Australia team. Well done. Bravo encore. And now for the gold and the winner of the 2026 Canada Cup. Let's try my broken Japanese. Omedo gozaimasu. Japan. Congratulations, Japan. So the Japanese team made of Katsuya Hashimoto, Daisuke Ikesaki, Yukinobu Ike, Yuna Nishimura, Tomoshige Kabetani, Shunya Nakamashi, Riju Kusaba, Seiya Norimatsu, Hitoshi Ogawa, Hidefumi Wakayama, Koishe Suzuki, and Yuki Asegawa. Congratulations, Japan, again. So please join me in welcoming our guests for this afternoon. Merci d'accueillir nos invités spéciaux ce soir. We have the pleasure to welcome today the Parliamentary Secretary for Accessibility for the Province of British Columbia, Dana Lajeunesse. Sorry, Dana. We have the Honorable Kelly Green, MLA for Richmond, Steveston, Minister of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness. Thank you, Kelly. Ross Robinson, Director of the BC Wheelchair Sports and the Wheeling Chair Rugby Canada. Thank you, Ross. And Dean McKinnon, Director of BC Wheelchair Sports. Thank you, Dan. So we're going to welcome the Canada Cup that will be accompanied by the Caporal Roy Wong and the Constable Tessa Cameron. Merci d'accueillir la coupe portée par le Caporal Roy Wong and the Constable Tessa Cameron. Très bien. It is now my pleasure to welcome the Parliamentary Secretary de la Jeunesse to say a few words on behalf of the province. Merci d'accueillir le secrétaire parlementaire de la Jeunesse pour dire quelques mots au nom de la province.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank, for the introduction. And wow, what a game! That was a lot of fun to watch, and as far as I'm concerned, you guys are all heroes. You're all winners. It's my pleasure to be here today as we close what has been an outstanding week of world-class competition. I want to start by acknowledging that the lands on which we're gathered today are those of the Musqueam Nation, and we're grateful to be here. Over the past 4 days, the Canada Cup has brought together 6 of the world's top wheelchair rugby nations, from Japan, Australia, Brazil, France, Great Britain, and Canada, to compete at the highest level right here in British Columbia. The skill, determination, and teamwork on display this week highlight the excellence that defines parasport. When sport is inclusive, it creates a space for everyone to belong and to participate and excel. I'm proud to say wheelchair rugby was invented in Canada, in Winnipeg in 1976. Since 2004, the Canada Cup has been hosted in British Columbia and has become one of the premier competitions in sport. For Team Canada, this tournament is about more than a trophy. It's about building toward the world stage and showing what Canadian athletes with disabilities can do. The Canada Cup represents what an accessible, inclusive British Columbia looks like in practice. Through the Accessible BC Act, our government is committed to identifying, removing, and preventing barriers so that people of all abilities can participate fully in community life, including sport. The province of British Columbia, through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sport, is proud to support this 2026 tournament by providing $100,000 through the Major Events Program and more than $45,000 through the Destination Events Program. This support helps organizations like the BC Wheelchair Sports Association deliver world-class events right here in our communities. The Canada Cup demonstrates what is possible when community sport organizations, volunteers, and government work together with intent. I know that my good friend and colleague, Kelly Green, MLA for Richmond-Steveston, is here. She was cheering you all on with me as we watched the Gold Cup game. To the BC Wheelchair Sports Association, Michelle McDonald, and every volunteer, official coach, community member who made this tournament possible, thank you. You're not just putting on an event, you're part of a movement. To all the athletes competing here this week, thank you for inspiring us all with your dedication, resilience, and excellence. British Columbia is proud of all of you. Congratulations to all the teams. It's been a privilege to watch you compete. On behalf of the Premier and the Government of British Columbia, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary Lajeunesse. Thanks very much for the great speech. We're going to move on to the some thanks before we go to the ceremony itself. We would like to thank the to thank the sponsor, the supporters, and the partners. As you know, events such as these will not be possible without a great deal of support. We would like to thank all of the sponsors, supporters, and partners. Comme vous le savez, des événements comme ceux-ci ne seraient pas possibles sans beaucoup de soutien. Nous tenons à remercier tous nos commanditaires, partisans et partenaires. En particulier, in particular, I'm going to list all the sponsors. Just hold your applause and we're going to give a round of applause at the end of the list. First, the Sport Canada and the Government of Canada, the Province of British Columbia, Richmond Sport Hosting and the Richmond Olympic Oval, the World Wheelchair Rugby, the Wheelchair Rugby Canada, Vesco, Bogetti Smith Photography, Gary Cripps and the Smug Mug Photography, the Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel, and the Horn Brewing. Just please give a round of applause to many supporters that helps these events to be a success like today. Je vous remercie encore d'applaudir les nombreux partenaires qui contribuent au succès de cet événement. Thank you as well to the volunteers that are given so generously their time from the first arrival to the final departure and everything in between. We literally could not do this without you, and we are very, very grateful for your time and your work. Thank you also to our amazing webcast team with Sports Canada TV and our webcasters. Merci à tous les bénévoles qui ont donné si généreusement de leur temps, de la première arrivée jusqu'au départ définitif. Nous ne pourrions pas faire cela sans vous, et nous vous en sommes très reconnaissants. Thank you all. All right. Et maintenant pour les présentations de prix. And now for the awards presentation. Please welcome Parliamentary Secretary La Jeunesse to assist the individual awards. Commençons les présentations par les prix individuels. I would like first to thank you again, Vesco, who again generously sponsored the All-Star and MVP awards. In addition to the awards, each All-Star winner will receive a gift from Vesco. À présent, voici donc le nom des équipes, de chaque joueur d'équipe pour recevoir l'étoile de la Coupe Canada. And now to announce the 2026 Canada Cup All-Star Team. The award for the best class 0.5 goes to Jack Smith, Great Britain. Congratulations, Jack Smith. Bravo, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you again. Congratulations. The award for the best class 1.0 goes to Itachi Ogawa, Japan. Congratulations. Congratulations. The award for the best class 1.5 goes to Guilherme Camargo from Brazil. Congratulations again. Congratulations. Thank you, congratulations. We heard a lot of noise from Brazil, so next team, please. The award goes to the best class 2.0, goes to Sonia Nakamichi, Japan. Congratulations. The award for the best class 2.5 goes to Austin McLean from Canada. Where is he? Ah, he's here. Perfect. Congratulations. The base class 3.0 from Team Australia, Relay Bats. Congratulations. And the last one, the base class 3.5 from Team Japan, Katsuya Hashimoto. Congratulations to all. And now, le joueur par excellence du tournoi A, and now for the 2026 Canada Cup Tournament MVP is from Team Japan, Yokonobu Ike. Congratulations again. Félicitations encore aux joueurs étoiles et aux joueurs par excellence du tournoi Coupe Canada. Congratulations again to the 2026 Canada Cup Basing Class Team and MVPs. All right, medals now. We're going to start first with bronze. Please welcome the BCWSA board member, Dean McKinnon, to present the medals for the bronze medalists for Team France. Yeah. Bravo France again. Congratulations, Team France. Thank you again. For the silver medal, please welcome BCWSA and the Wheelchair Rugby Canada board member Ross Robinson to present the medals to the silver medalist, Team Australia. Congratulations again. No. Congratulations again, Australia. Very good. And now, pour les médailles d'or for the gold medal, I would like to welcome Honorable Kelly Green to present the medals to our gold medalists. Team Japan. Congratulations again. Omedo gozaimasu. Now, if you can, please raise for the national anthem of Japan. La Coupe Canada sera présentée par le Caporal Wong et le Constable Cameron. The Cup Canada will be presented by the Caporal Wong and the Constable Cameron. Thank you again. So this concludes our ceremonies for the 2026 Canada Cup. Thank you everyone, thank you the teams, thank you for coming to support the events and all our amazing sponsors, volunteers and supporters. Thank you all. Merci à tous. Ceci conclut nos cérémonies pour le tournoi Coupe Canada 2026. Merci d'être venus soutenir l'événement. À tous, aux équipes, aux incroyables commanditaires, bénévoles et partisans. Bon retour à la maison à tous. Bonne chance au Brésil. Have a safe journey home, everyone, and best of luck for Brazil in August. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. If you have any more silent auction bids, the silent auction will close in 10 minutes. Any final bids, you can head over to the auction now.